Hello everyone, it's Mr. Burns in the weather studio, and today we're going to do a weather video. Now I haven't done a weather video on this channel for a very long time. The last time I did a weather channel was back in the spring when I did the spring updates for Gav, because he wasn't doing them. He had problems with his mouth. He had problems with mouth cancer, and so I did the spring updates, but hardly anyone watched them, and then I stopped doing videos. But I thought, why don't I do the month ahead forecast video? Because that's a video that Gav used to do, but he doesn't do it anymore for some reason. It's a video where he used to look at I think it was the JMA and the CFS models for the month ahead and do a month ahead forecast. He now doesn't do that. Instead, he uses Terry Scully's monthly forecast instead, rather than using the models. But I thought I'd just use the models, use the JMA. I'm also using CanZips as well. So this is the JMA model. It looks a bit different to how Gav used to have it. I don't know how you get the view that Gav does. It's a complicated website, but basically this is looking at the month of December. So it's between the 30th of November and the 30th of December 2022. So if we go down, this is the 500 millibar height anomaly, and if we just zoom in a little bit here, and there we go. So there's the British Isles up there in the top right hand corner of the chart, and red, orange and yellow extrapolate to high pressure or above average heights, and blue extrapolates to low pressure or below average heights. So we can see we've got northern blocking, we've got high pressure in the northern latitudes here. The northern latitudes are cut off, but we can see high pressure is to the northwest of the country. So we've got high pressure around Greenland. So the computers are running really slowly for some reason, so you'll just have to bear with me. High pressure around Greenland and Iceland, low pressure around Spain and the Azores, quite unusual, especially in recent winters, and so winds will be coming from a northeasterly direction, so that's quite a cold signal for December. Now let's have a look at the corresponding temperature and precipitation anomalies. You can see that yes, we are coming out a little bit below average there, warmer around Spain and North Africa, but bit colder than average for the UK. That's very unusual for a model to forecast below average temperatures for the UK in winter these days. And precipitation, it's hard to make out, but probably close to average, maybe on the slightly wetter than average side, and of course with below average temperatures, some of that precipitation could be snow. Next we're going to have a look at the CFS V2, so the British Isles in the top left hand corner of the chart there. It's also there as well, but focus on this view. You can see we've got masses of northern blocking around in the northern latitudes, masses of it. It just goes on for thousands of miles across, and we've not seen this in December for a very long time. And if you know your weather, then this is a symbol for cold weather in the UK. It does depend on when the blocking is sitting, but it's sitting directly to the north of the country. We've got low pressure around Spain and the Azores. Very, very unusual for December these days. In fact, very unusual for winter these days. The winters of the past decade have tended to be mild and westerly, but this is a very different pattern. This is similar to the patterns we had in like December 2009, and even December 2010. It's not going to be as cold as that. So yeah, we've got high pressure to the north, low pressure to the south. Upshot is winds are going to be coming in from the east, which is a cold direction, and it will be, but judging by the height anomaly, it will be cold enough for snow, especially as we go further on into the month. Despite that, the temperature anomaly is only coming out close to average, but these long-range models are very reluctant to forecast below average temperatures in the snow, especially the CFS. Gav likes to call the CFS can't forecast snow, and only going for average temperatures. But with that height anomaly, you would expect below average temperatures. You can see it's milder than average for most southern parts of Europe, Spain, North Africa, milder than average. But colder than average for most of Europe, and especially into Russia, really, really cold there. Warmer than average for Iceland and Greenland and the North Pole up there. So I'll have a look at the precipitation anomaly, and it's also coming out. It's drier than average, which you would expect with that kind of pattern, because easterlies will always be drier than westerlies. But when we do get precipitation with below average temperatures, a lot of it will be snow. Although do bear in mind the model is only going for average temperatures. We've got a classic sort of negative AO NAO setup here with low pressure, wetter than average conditions. We've got low pressure down here, bringing westerlies into Spain, so mild and wet for Spain. And then we've got it's drier up here where we've got and in the northern latitudes where we've got all the high pressure up there, and bringing in those dry but cold easterly winds. And finally, we're going to have a look at the CANZIPS model now. So this is the 500 millibar height anomaly. It's a bit zoomed in, but I couldn't get the world view to come up. So yeah, basically it's confirming the same pattern: high pressure to the north around Greenland and Iceland, and low pressure around Spain. Winds coming in from the east. Therefore, you would expect it to be colder than average. And also, you'd expect some snow as well, especially in the south, where we are closer to that low pressure. Low pressure potentially bringing up bands of snow if it's cold enough. So now we'll have a look at the temperature anomaly. Now, I'm not very familiar with it. I haven't used this site for a long time. So if we have a look, it's the 2 meter temperature anomaly I think that we want. So we'll just wait for that to load. And as you can see, we're going for below average temperatures, not just for the UK but for many parts of Europe. The far east of Europe, the far northeast of Europe, going exceptionally cold, like 3.5 to 4 degrees, 5 degrees below average. We're not that cold in the UK, but we're still pretty cold, around say maybe 1 to maybe minus 0.75 to minus 1.5 degrees below average. So cold December, not just for the UK but for most northern parts of Europe. It's also very cold for Scandinavia as well, you'll notice. This model goes out 12 months, by the way. It'll be very inaccurate 12 months out, but yeah, it is quite impressive that it goes that far out. Let's have a look at the precipitation anomaly now. And we are going a bit drier than average for northern and western parts of the UK, closer to the higher pressure. We are going drier than average. For more southern and eastern areas, though, we're going close to average in those white colours. So yeah, for more eastern areas and more southern areas, I think there will be a higher chance of snow because you're more exposed to those easterly winds. You can see how wet it is around Spain as well. That's where we've got all low pressure, so it's a classic negative AO NAO pattern with high pressure to the north, low pressure to the south, winds coming in from the east, and it tends to bring cold but also dry weather with the most precipitation in the east, with a lot of that being snow. It's an unusual setup. Sorry, the recording stopped there. I'm forgetting I'm using the free version of Bandicam, which only allows me to record for 10 minutes. So yeah, I was just saying that usually in winter we have the opposite situation where we have low pressure to the north, high pressure to the south, winds in from the west, and it's mild and wet. At the moment we have the opposite situation, which is high pressure to the north, low pressure to the south, and winds in from the east. So I think for this month ahead forecast, we're going to go with a cold and dry month overall. Not exceptionally so. I don't think it'll be another December 2010. Famous last words, I know. But I think I don't think it'll be as cold as December 2010, where it was the second coldest December on record, and it had a central England temperature of below zero. I don't think it's going to be that cold, but I think it's probably a good chance we're going to have our coldest December since 2010. So we'll probably, the CT I think will probably end up somewhere in the threes, maybe in the twos. So it'd be, I'd say temperatures coming out probably about a degree below the 1981 to 2010 average. That's what I'd say. I think the first half will be colder than the second half. I think it will turn milder around Christmas. There are early signs in model output that it will turn milder around Christmas. That's what happened in December 2010, of course. And Gav is forecasting that the winter will turn milder as we go along. So I think this winter it's an El Nino winter, which tends to favour cold earlier on in the winter. So I think it will be a winter very much like 2010, 2011, probably a milder version of that winter where we get the most cold in December and we get the most milder weather in February. So I think that's what will happen. I think the first half of December will be colder than the second half. Overall, will come out below average, around a degree below average. So it will probably be our coldest December since 2010. Precipitation-wise, because the winds are from the east, it will be drier than average, especially for more western areas. I think there will be snow at times, especially for more eastern areas of the country. And also, especially for southern and eastern areas, because you're closer to the low pressure. Although the further south you go, of course, the more likely that precipitation is likely to be rain, especially on lower ground. But even in the far southeast of the country, I think you will get some snow. I think the only places that won't get snow will be the far southwest of the country, Devon, Cornwall. It's very difficult to get snow there, especially these days, because the climate's just so mild now in winter. So I think you will mostly get rain. I think, in coastal Devon and Cornwall, I think you will be very, very lucky if you get any snow. So yeah, that's what we're going for. Temperatures around a degree below the 1981 to 2010 average. Precipitation drier than average, probably only maybe 50 to 75% of the normal precipitation. I think the first half of the month will be colder than the second half. I think it will turn milder around Christmas time. And so yeah, I think it's going to be our coldest December since 2010. So that's what I'm forecasting. I'll review this forecast hopefully in early January, and if this video gets enough views, then I will do another month ahead forecast video in January. So yeah, that's my month ahead forecast done. I will probably do a CFS 6 month look ahead video at some point, because that's another video that Gav used to do that he doesn't do anymore. So I'll probably do that one. Head to Gav's Weather Vids channel for the latest weather updates. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. Please give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Leave a comment down below if you wish to as well. And yeah, I'll see you in another video soon, hopefully. But for this video, that's all for now, and thanks for watching. Bye.